Hey guys, it's AwesomeJohn22 coming today with another review, and today we are taking a look at the third fembot to come out recently in the Generations line. This time, a character who was actually created based on fan input. Her name is Windblade, and she's something. So, yeah, I'm just going to move right on to all that other stuff because I don't want to say anything right here because I have some definite opinions about this figure. So let's go ahead and get her transformed up through the magic of jump cuts. And here we have Windblade in her vehicle mode, and she's pretty cool. She's clearly some kind of black VTOL jet with the fans in her wings, and they do something pretty nifty. They do rotate and actually spin as well, though you don't get a whole lot of functionality out of either. It's still nice that it's there. Fantastic detail all over this thing. You can see something resembling a cockpit in there. She does actually have fold-up landing gear in the nose, as well as landing gear just kind of sticking out from underneath. Great rivets and paneling all over the place. Really adds to the illusion that this is some kind of unknown type of jet. You can see thrusters there. Underneath, though, she's pretty much a mess. You can clearly see robot parts everywhere. These are very clearly the legs, which, I mean, I'm sure you could tell that from up here. Those are very clearly her legs. They're just kind of sitting there. And it's a bit annoying. There's a few other annoying things about this mode as well. There are some tabs here that are meant to slot into these sides here, but as you can see, there's always a gap. And there's always a gap between the two halves of this fin here. There's just no getting around it. It's just that the plastic pieces aren't thick enough to hold their shape well enough to sit right next to each other as they're clearly intended to. So while I really enjoy this figure, in a lot of ways, there's also a lot of things that I find annoying about it. And we will talk more about that in the end when I recommend this figure. Well, when I do the section where I would recommend this figure. You know what I mean. Transformation to robot mode isn't that bad. I'm not going to show you the reverse transformation. I would recommend finding someone who does show reverse transformations, because it's kind of weird. The transformation of this thing is just kind of weird in general, though, and I'm probably going to fumble a little bit. Before that, though, I do want to point out her weapon, which is sheathed here in this big metal thing. Does attach underneath the jet via a peg right here, and I'm not pegging it all the way in. I just want to demonstrate it does peg in. However, pegging it all the way in and then trying to pull it back out does cause problems with the jet. It does, you're going to knock something loose, so I don't do it very often. Profile's not bad. Actually, profile looks pretty good. Overall, not a perfect vehicle mode, but a decent one. Pretty decent deluxe class scale. You can see she's quite a bit longer than Chromia, but she's also quite a bit shorter than Chromia. There's not as much thickness to her. But onto the transformation. First, we're going to loosen up these pegs here and just bring these sections out. Next, we're going to come back here, and we are going to take, you can see, these are separate panels. This will untab from here. Actually, what I should have done first, I'll show you on this side. First, we're going to actually untab her hand from this post here. And then we will untab this panel, like so. And then we fold these really thin little fins up flush with her wings, like so. Next, we're going to come around here. I guess probably the best thing to do at this point is just to bring her arms up. They won't plug in all the way yet, but bring them up like so. And you can kind of see already where we're going with this. Next, we're going to come here, refocus, bring her entire fuselage back, and then bring this forward, and flip out her head, which has this really cool clear yellow crest thing on it. Then bring this back up, and it doesn't really tab, it just kind of rests in place, but it works fine. Next, we're going to bring her arms up, And these, I don't really know what to do with these little bits. Usually I just fold them in like so. Next we're going to come here and we're going to rotate at the waist, which is going to bring her legs forward. We're going to split them at this tab here and then rotate. Well, first here, okay, this is where I always fumble every single time, because first of all, this is really loose. You saw how easily that popped out. So let's put this back the way it was, and I'll show you. She has these little heel bits back here. We're going to have to fold them down first. Then we rotate this whole section around, and it has to go inside out, not the other way. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it'll pop right off. It has a chance of popping right off otherwise, but that's the easiest way to go about it with the least amount of risk. Bring her heel bits straight down. Next, we're going to take these fronts of the legs, bring them down like so, and orient them so that her feet are flat with the floor. And do that on both sides, of course. And there we have Windblade transformed into her robot mode. And if it seems like I'm having a little bit of trouble getting her to stand, it's because I am. And we will get to that in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at her like this. She looks good. She looks dynamic. She's kind of this space warrior samurai chick looking thing with a thick armor and the cool head crest and whatnot. I absolutely love the colors. Red and black are just great. And she does have little bits of blue breaking them up. You can see yellow and blue in her head. Really cool war paint looking stuff. Overall, just great coloration, great detail. You can even see some of the rivets actually carry over into this mode. But just like her vehicle mode, this mode does have some problems. First off, I want to point out that while her wings are supposedly posable, you can like rotate them up this way and whatnot. I wouldn't recommend it because they're very thin. All of these pieces are very thin and they're held together with just this one pin. And every time I try to move her wings, I'm worried I'm going to break something off. So I just kind of leave them like is. This seems to be how most of her stock photos show her anyway. So I figure it's fine. You can, of course, still rotate the fans in this mode and kind of have her be vertical takeoff like this as well. Pretty cool. What else do I want to talk about? What other problems does it have? Oh, yeah. The heels. One of the things that makes it difficult to stand is the shape of these feet, and it doesn't help that these heel bits are really loose and can get knocked forward, making it impossible for her to stand up. And every time she falls on this thin fin piece that I always worry is going to break off. So I recommend not moving her a lot, and every time you do, literally every time you do, before you set her back down, check to make sure those heels are deployed. She also has an issue where her shoulder armor can pop off rather easily, and her hands rotate, but they're very, very tight, and I tend to worry that they'll pop out pretty easily. Overall, though, articulation isn't bad. She can get pretty much a full range of motion out of her arms. Her head, which is on a ball joint, can't really do much of anything because of her color. For her hips, they can't move outward unless you raise the wing out of the way because of the position of the landing gear, but they do move forward, back. They do rotate a bit at the hip, and she does bend about 90 degrees at the knee, and of course she does have some limited waist articulation, so overall not bad at all. It's just because of how difficult it can be to stand her, it's also pretty difficult getting her to pose as well. She can, of course, use her weapon in this mode. We simply take the sword, which I do want to point out in the handle of the sword, she does have something resembling her VTOL fans, which is pretty nifty. The sword does just slide right out of the sheath, and it is this spiffy looking purple energy blade thing with a flat version of a standard 5mm port, which just fits right into her hand, though it can't really rotate in her hand, because if you rotate it, it slides out because the handle is flat for some reason. And of course she does have the sheath, which has these little tabs on the side, so you can come under here and tab them into her legs. And now she's holding, or she's wearing, the giant sheath on her leg, hanging off her back, and it gives her this cool warrior look, but I can't imagine it's super practical, honestly. Still cool looking, and that's what I think matters the most when it comes to giant transforming robots. I mean, it's not like we're going for realism here. What's important is that she looks good. What's important is that she lives up to the idea of the character as she was presented by fans. And I think she does that. I just think she has some serious issues while doing it. I mentioned that Windblade is the final of the fembots that we've gotten with this generation's line. And I figure we might as well get a look at her with the other two, so let's get them in here. And you can see Windblade still, she does follow the same design principles as the standard fembot. She's still got the feminine figure. She's clearly a fembot. She looks like one. She doesn't quite fit in with these two because we have Chromia, who's very much classics, very much the update of the Generation 1 design. We have RC, who's just straight up 80s. And we've got Windblade, who's something very new and different. And I like it. I like the designs. It's kind of an evolution of Transformers. We have an early design, a newer design, and then something completely unique. I like it a lot, and yeah, so there they are. There's not much more to say about it. Overall, I do really like Windblade. She's cool. She's got an interesting transformation, even if I don't particularly like it all that much. And both her modes look really, really good. I'm really excited that there is effectively an entirely new fembot after so long. Not just like a rehash of an old character with a new design and a new lineage like we've seen with RC a bazillion times, but an entirely new character. I like it. It's very nice. But that doesn't change the fact that there are a lot of flaws to this figure. So I recommend it, but only to collectors. This is not a toy I would buy for children. A child will break this thing within 10 minutes of owning it. I guarantee it. It's flimsy. It doesn't hold together great, but it looks awesome and makes a fantastic display piece. It is literally the definition of a modern collector's Transformer. And that's my final word on that, and that pretty much wraps up this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, because I certainly enjoyed making it. Please help me out, like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you feel so inclined. In the description down below, you'll find links to all the other things I'm working on, including a link to my collections video. Check it out, and if you see anything in it that you'd like me to review, let me know, and I will see what I can do. Either way, this has been Awesome John 22, and I will talk to you guys later.